Did you know? It was illegal for enslaved Africans to speak African languages in the U.S. I hear people say, I was never a slave. But you are the descendant of one. Let's stop the denial. You may not have worn chains, but you inherited the consequences. No native tongue, no native last name, no native identity, no ancestral map, just a European name, a colonizer's religion, and a language of oppression. If they went that far to erase your name and language, what makes you think they didn't give you your religion too? You didn't get off the slave ship with Jesus. You didn't come with God the Father. That was handed to you after your culture was erased. We don't think deep, but it's time to start. Step 1, language, power. That's why they took it. When Africans were kidnapped and enslaved, they didn't just steal bodies. They stole culture, spiritual systems, and most importantly, language. Because language isn't just words, it's memory. It carries rituals, prayers, names, history, healing, and resistance. So what did enslavers do? Step 2, they made it. Law. No African language. Allowed in the United States and across the colonies, slave codes were passed that made it illegal for enslaved people to speak in their native tongue, practice African rituals, sing songs in their original languages, even teach each other tribal dialects. Why? Because they knew that if the people could communicate, they could organize. If they could organize, they could revolt. And if they could remember their original selves, they'd never accept the role of slave. Step 3, it was psychological warfare. This wasn't just about English, it was about erasing identity. If you don't speak your name, you forget it. If you don't speak your ancestors' words, you disconnect from them. If you can't pass on your language to your child, their spiritual umbilical cord is severed. That's what they wanted. They didn't just want workers. They wanted spiritually broken, mentally erased humans. Step 4, the slave codes were the blueprint. Let's get into the receipts. South Carolina Slave Code of 1740 made it illegal for enslaved Africans to assemble, teach, or communicate in their own tongue. Virginia's Black Codes limited gathering, rituals, drumming, and foreign language gatherings, meaning no African speech or culture allowed. New Orleans and Spanish Louisiana Africans from Yoruba, Fon, and Congo were known to speak Creole and native tongues. After revolts, laws were passed banning African spiritual gatherings and foreign speech outright. Step 5. Why was language a threat? Because they realized language is the gateway to revolution. Haiti won their revolution by calling the spirits in Creole and native languages, not English or French. Rebellion leaders like Dutty Boukman were fluent in spiritual tongues. Africans in the U.S. used coded songs, drums, and ritual speech to escape plantations and plot freedom. So what did they do? They stripped language, then gave you a new one with chains attached. Step 6. They gave you English, but took your tongue. They forced English on you, but made sure you couldn't pronounce your own name. You couldn't speak your tribal language. You couldn't pray in your own voice. You couldn't even name your children after your ancestors. That's why so many of us are named after slave owners today. Not because we forgot, but because we were forced to forget. Step 7. We still feeling the effects today. Most Black Americans don't know what tribe they come from. We call ourselves Black. A color, not a people. We speak the language of our oppressors, not our ancestors. Many still fear African languages, chants, and rhythms because of colonized religious programming. We were programmed to disconnect from ourselves. Step 8. Critical thinking check. If African languages were powerless, why did they make it a crime to speak them? If African spirituality was fake, Why did they make it illegal to practice it? Because the real threat wasn't violence. It was memory, identity, spirit. Step 9. But the language still lives, in us. Even though they banned the words, the rhythm stayed. Drums became coded language. Spirituals carried hidden messages. Moaning and humming in church is African vocal tradition. Gullah, Creole, Patois, and Ebonics are survival languages, fusing African syntax into English shells. They tried to kill the tongue, but the soul spoke anyway. Step 10. Awakening truth. They feared our language because it carried our memory. They banned our tongue because it spoke freedom. But no matter what they did, the ancestors still spoke. Through us, learn your tribe, reclaim your words, speak your truth. Your tongue is sacred.